Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the 18th talk in our mental health awareness series. In today's talk, we will be looking at another dimension of mental health, particularly on something that is not uh, lightly understood, uh, which needs more, I would say, thoughts and then ideas, aspects to understand. As the title suggests, in today's talk, we'll be looking at benefit of the doubt. Now, this is not doubt actually, benefit of the doubt. Now, the dictionaries interpret this to be a state of accepting something or someone as honest or deserving of trust, even though there are doubts. For example, I would say we always get judgmental about people who we know. Let's say there may be times where you feel that somebody, did not text you back, did not call you back, did not write you back, did not say uh, hi and all these polite gestures back, and you probably, you know, uh, feel that you've been betrayed, and you feel that you know uh, your buttons have been pushed, and this person does not care me enough. And this is not the giving the benefit of doubt. Actually, probably you don't know what's going on the other hand, on the other side of the person, right? It is not because that person wants to hurt you. It is not that person wants to harm you, right? So this is something we have to understand. Probably, perhaps, they may have acted carelessly or spoke harshly, maybe a flash of anger or irritation. I mean, all these things may have hijacked their communication skills. This is why they may have not responded to you. But if you think that the other person that you texted, talk, call, act in a way that is really detrimental and then I would say mean, impolite to you, that would not make sense. This is what we can understand by talking, discussing about the benefit of the doubts. We have to give the benefit of the doubt because we never know what's going on the other side. We know there are bad folks too, but it is a minority. Do not uh, use the same brush to paint everything, because the thing is, we never know what's going on the other side. Everybody's life is different. So if you understand that your automatic nature of responding to things, especially denial, uh, I would say rejection, probably they are not meant to be. They happen because there are things happening on the other side which we don't know. Simply because we don't know exactly what they are, we can't say that those people actually mean to us, bad to us. So this is why we're going to talk that we have to give the benefit of doubt. That way will help us to become better people and then to stay happy all the time. I think this is very interesting because today is the first talk in the next in the new year, I would say 2022. And I hope that if you can practice the benefit, giving the benefit of the doubt, you will be a very happy person. You'll be happier. You'll be a person who is kinder and then more peaceful. This is why I wanted to choose this topic. Dumb folks, if you have any questions about the topic, even before we jump into the contents, I would like to ask you to type in those questions in the comments below. My plan today is to discuss what uh, is the benefit of doubt. At the same time, how do we sort of overcome uh, the nature where we are very judgmental about not knowing what's going on the other side, which means we don't give benefit of doubt. So why we are not giving benefit of doubt? So we have to discuss that. On the other hand, I want to discuss what are the ways we can practice giving the benefit of doubt. Finally, I wanted to add the Buddhist aspects of this particular topic about uh, why is it important to, you know, to practice the benefit of the doubt. So this is the plan for today. Okay, so what is doubt in Buddhism? Now, doubt is a akusala, I would say, an immoral, uh, kind of a virtue. If you take a look at Abhidhamma, you could see Vichikicha. This is the Palitan for uh, doubt. Now, Vichikicha arises because uh, there could be many reasons for Vichikicha to arise. In Abhidhamma, which is a which is an analytical exegesis about the Buddhist teachings, uh, emphasizes that Vichikicha has couple meanings. Now, it is not the simple doubt. Like we have to have a doubt. Like even if you are a researcher, if you are an academician, you need to sort of doubt about the hypothesis. Now, you have a hypothesis, so you have to hypothetically look at the research question, and then you're gonna doubt how does this happen, how does this go, how do these results bring about these particular conclusions. So we need a certain doubt in research. It doesn't cost the meaning that we have in Buddhism. So doubt in Buddhism means that the sort of you know uh, I would say uh, non-confidence. So I would say uh, kind of a uh, unstable position where you do not understand what the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are all about. At the same time, doubts about rebirth, doubts about previous life, doubts about the Patisamuppada, dependent origination, and so on and so forth. So these actually, uh, you know, mostly taken as spiritual questions rather than secular questions. So if you have like a lot of doubts about these things, you need to clear them. Otherwise, you are sort of developing some akusalas because you will add the perspective of those topics in your own way. Perhaps that understand might not be actually what they mean to be, right? So that's why doubt in Buddhism has a spiritual aspect, which means that it is not the doubt that we talk today. And also in Visuddhimagga, we have seen that there is a sort of you know character temperament called uh, vitakka. Vitakka, or I would say uh, charita. There are six characters, I would say, temperaments that are being discussed in Visuddhimagga by Buddhaghosa. Now, vitakka charita, that means a person who is always ruminating, has a lot of doubts, right? Like we also give some thoughts on different subjects, issues, but we should not be driven by the doubts all the time, especially if you are not a detective uh, to find out some criminal things and so on and so forth. But in our day-to-day life, we need a situation, we need an environment where we're going to spend time with our loved ones pretty uh, you know uh, good way, I would say, with a lot of confidence, a lot of trust. If you are a person who is married to your other half, you should be able to spend time happily. If you have trust, insecurity, that's not good. Since insecurity arises because there is a doubt, there may be doubts. So you could actually make them clear. You should have an open communication, like a close communication, right? A lot of questions that uh, we can see in families in today's world is, I mean, they are rooted not about the money, mostly, not about their kids. It's mostly about the lack of communication, right? They may be very educated, they may be very wealthy, but the problem is they don't communicate well. Poor communication. They communicate less, but they are judgmental more than they communicate, right? So that's why we have to understand doubt, especially when it comes to giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, in short, I could say giving the benefit of the doubt means that you should not always think that somebody is doing a bad thing to you. There may be few folks, a minority, who might do the bad things. But especially when it comes to your loved ones, you should not be judgmental, fast uh, to, I would say, decide that you are mistreated. Because there may be a different reason why they are not responding to your text message. I would say you text somebody, but that person is not returning to you. Probably uh, he or she may have run out of the power. He or she may have been out of the phone for some time, probably for an unexpected event, right? So we never know. Like before you jump into a conclusion that you've been mistreated, give the benefit of the doubt. That way you are releasing insecurity. You are sort of externalizing fear, insecurity, and all those, I would say, crazy thoughts that could, uh, go around in your mind, right? So this is why it's very important to talk about giving the benefit of doubt in order for us to be happier in our life. Okay. So now we already talked about Vichikitsa. Now Vichikitsa is not the uh, point of concern here because it's a kind of a different aspect, compared to this. Now we are trying to look at not being judgmental. When you are not judgmental, you can still, even though you have some concerns about your other half or other people, you still wanted to believe that this is true. This is not true. Maybe there is something else happening, right? Although you have your own ways of understanding what's going on. But I mean, try to have a temperament where you are not judging all the time. This is the most important. Even look at mindfulness. Now, in mindfulness, uh, the off-coded definition is that uh, I would say non-judgmentally, somebody is going to be fully aware uh, with without being non-judgmental. This is the fundamental definition about what mindfulness is. So now, even here, the im- the most important part to giving the benefit of the doubt to the other person comes from a non-judgmental focus. Because if you try to be judgmental, that means you are not giving the benefit of the doubt to the other person. So that is how we are trying to understand. Probably the things that we never understand. We would like to judge people very fast. This is the funniest thing in our life, right? I mean, the biggest problem in our life, kind of judge. We are very fast. We are very quick to judge other people. Like, "Hey, you are like this, you are like this, you did this," right? This is the biggest problem. Take time. You don't need to judge in the first place, right? If you are a person who is always judgmental, you will never give the benefit of the doubt in terms of what's happening with other people's life. So let me talk about you know sort of kind of a background about this topic. I would say uh, giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, in here, what we understand in many people's lives is that they are trying to be very skeptical and cynical of what's happening with other people. Especially, this can happen to you if you are someone who is always uh, having some issues about what your loved ones doing. If you never give some time, if you never give the benefit of the doubt, uh, I mean, to whoever the person on the other side, you will be always, I would say, irritated and annoyed, and I would say up to arguments, which is not a good thing, right? That is why we should always, you know, let other person to explain what's going on the other hand, right? Now we have some good steps that we can use to overcome this nature where you can give the benefit of the doubt. What are the ways that we can improve this practice? Because this practice is a good thing. If you can give the benefit of the doubt, then that's a good practice. How can we develop? Now, if you can look at what we can do to develop that practice within us, then we will more understand this thing much better. Now, the first thing that I ask you to think about is that to understand our primitive nature of our thinking, especially in terms of many of us. Now, we always have a tendency to, I would say, overestimate internal versus external factors when observing other people's activities. Now, for example, I would say a lot of people they consider the individual personality over their situation. Now, this is very important. Now, let's say somebody did not respond to you because of something. Somebody did not return to you for something. Somebody was not grateful the way you think, right? Somebody was not acting upon the way that you expected. So you're going to judge that person that, you are not up to this. You are not as good as I am. So the main reason is that such people who always choose the individual's personality over the individual situation. This individual situations are really plenty. Let's say reasons for being late, reasons for not picking up the phone, reasons for not answering back, reasons for not, I would say, uh, I would say doing something in turn. These situations are really important to understand if you are a person who want to give the benefit of the doubt. But many of us, many people out there, they always want to pick on the individual's character, personality, saying that you are wrong. You did this thing because you have something wrong here. But instead of blaming that person's personality, what if you pick a different aspect, towards what may have happened, like looking at, okay, uh, what situation brought you to do like this? What situation brought you to be late? What situation brought you to respond to me a little later? What situation brought you to answer me back, answer my calls a little late? What situation brought you uh, to fail something that I expected you to be, so and so forth, so and so. Then you are creating a very friendly atmosphere because you get to understand what's going on. The world is not, uh, you know, the world that you always expect to be, because there are different people, right? We are very different, but we have one thing in common. We can be very kind, compassionate to other person, no matter what. That is why I'm asking you to look at the opposite side of your frustration, your indignation, your sadness, because you want other people to be so. But if it doesn't happen, In the same way, that means that you are not looking at the flip side of the coin. That means you never know their situation. So, number one step that we had to look at is that we have to choose, we have to pay more attention to the individual's situations over the individual's personality. That's a very important thing, right? Now, even in the court, even in the law, uh, if the people who are deciding, whoever the people deciding, kind of a punishment towards a person who has done the bad thing, they should not pick on the person. They are always going to look at what that person has done, right? What that person has done. So the punishment will be based on the particular activity, not on the person. Otherwise, the people who are giving the punishment will be very angry with all the perpetrators. Right? That is how it has to go, right? There's no anger, no hatred, but there are plenty of teaching moments where people have to make decisions. Like in the same way, when it comes to our loved ones, when they are not up to the sort of like standards and sort of situations where we expect them to be, we should not get upset about it. We should not get frustrated about such a thing. Maybe there are different, maybe they are not doing bad. Probably there may be situations, right? Probably there may be situations why it happened, right? So that's how we have to look at uh, all these situations, not the person's individual character. Now, there is something to think about. Now, we have psychological perspectives about this particular activity, why people pick on the other person's individuality. It's because something that uh, is mentioned in psychology, we call it fundamental attribution error. Now, this is kind of a bias. Now, fundamental attribution error means that there is a tendency for people to underemphasize situational and environmental explanations for an individual's observed behavior while overemphasizing dispositional and personality based explanations. That means, in short, I would say this tendency, this natural tendency is to underemphasize the situational background of people. We always underemphasize. We never look at their situations. We only look at their character, their personality. We want to pick on them rather than what made them to be so. So this is why we had to always look at the situations, environment, why they were like this. So that is one way to look at it, especially to improve, uh, uh, you know, I would say character, our life, if we are not people who are not giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, for example, we could sort of ask some questions from us. Now, one question we can ask from all of us is that if I was in this person's individual situations, I would say we have different ways of looking at it. If I was in this person's shoes with their knowledge and experiences, would I act much differently? Probably I would act the same way. I would not act differently. Have we given these kind of thoughts when something happens to us, especially frustration, sadness that come from somebody who we really love, who we really connect? Um, for the most part, no. For the most time, no. It is because we always would like to pick on the person's character, not the situation. So you have to put you in that person's shoes. Then only you understand, oh, I wouldn't have done something differently than you. It's the same thing, right? That is one question we can ask. Another question we can ask to understand it is what environmental factors may have influenced this person's actions, which I may not have been aware of. I mean, this is a good question. I mean, probably even if I put, myself in this person's shoes, I might not have considered about different environmental reasons, factors. So I want to look at what environmental factors, situational factors have caused this person to be so. Probably things that I already know might be very different from what that person went through. The third question that we can ask to, sort of, you know, understand the situation is that would most people behave this way if they were in a similar situation? Now, we can all always go into, many people. Like, what if many people, try to put themselves in this person's shoes? Uh, we understand that they would do the same thing. They would not act differently. They would do the same thing, right? For example, if you look at somebody's pain, if you can put yourself in that person's shoes, you will understand. We would not act differently than this person. That's a very good way of looking at it, right? We always want to think that we are better than the other person. We are better in many things. So that we always bring up this insecurity, fear, and then we always want to be doubtful very badly, harshly, and then we are being hijacked by those emotions. We are not giving enough towards giving the benefit of the doubt. So one more time, you can ask a couple questions if you really want to understand the benefit of the doubt. One question is, if I was in this person's shoes at that time, how would I react? How would I respond differently than this person? What are the other environmental factors I may have not looked at, uh, especially in understanding this person's problem? uh, what would most people behave if they were in a similar situation, right? So these questions can be always, uh, important, because they are very important to raise when you want to understand somebody's action that may have caused you anger. So that is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it, I would say, another way to develop your skills in giving benefit of the doubt towards others is that to look at your belief, I would say, perspectives. Now, we create a kind of self fulfilling prophecy over time, because we think that, you know, our ways of looking at a certain phenomenon could be better than somebody else. This is kind of a thing happens naturally over time, because we study and we spend some time in societies, we spend some times in different cultures. We think that we are better than the other people, especially in terms of perspectives. But the problem is, we have to understand that why things are happening, especially why are these happening, are these situations happening, especially when it comes to, I would say, emotional distance. Why I always come up with kind of an emotional distance with this particular person, because I may be having a kind of self-fulfilling uh, prophecies before I jump into a conclusion. So I have to change the way that I look at, right? If not, we will not be able to reverse the self-perpetuating cycle of cynicism, because we are very skeptical and uh, you know uh, sort of like, I would say, evil, cruel in understanding what's really going on with other people's life. So we have to look at, uh, especially situations positively, even if we have a sort of view about this particular activity, this particular action, speech, and the thought. So, as the Buddha always mentions, told us that having a very, I would say, less concentrated view, having no view, I mean, is much better, but we can't have no views, right? Because we need to have a sort of wholesome, skillful view. But at the end, we don't need any view, because views are always troublesome. They're always giving us trouble time. So we need to develop a healthy perspective where we can have some positive feedback loops, because the thing is that those positive feedback loops will really help us to stay positive. When you are positive, you are able to understand what is going on with the other person. Otherwise, you will carry all the negative perspective, so that you will never understand. Now, in the first step, we discuss about you know pay more attention to situations, persons, individual situations over individuals' character. In the second step, we discussed to sort of fine tune your uh, perspective, because perspectives are really important. Because if you are not developing a healthy perspective, you will be in trouble. And at the same time, we also talked about fulfilling prophecies really giving us a hard time, because we are creating them naturally without looking at positive things about that particular person. Third, uh, we need to look at something very interesting. This is about forgiveness. Now, uh, as the new year started, one of the very important aspirations that I always uh, tell to many people is that you need to forgive yourself. Forgiveness is such a very important virtue. Now, a lot of people think that they can't forgive completely. Probably they go by the proverb saying that we can forgive but not forget, right? I mean, if you can say that you can forget, you have to keep it in a positive way, not like in a negative way, because negatively speaking, it's such a bad thing, because you keep it, you wanted to hurt that person back. Now the problem here with the forgiveness is why forgiveness is connected to uh, I would say the topic of the benefit of the doubt is giving the benefit of the doubt is because when we don't give people the benefit of the doubt, let's say when we are not giving this to other people, we are often forced to hold our own actions at a higher standard than others. Now, if we are not, I would say, forgiving uh, others, then we are actually carrying something that is higher than other people. We thinking that we have higher standards than the others. Then what happens? You will be naturally hypocritic, and you will feel that you have a cognitive dissonance in your thoughts. Now, I would say in clear language, uh, when you are not forgiving people, now we are supposed to forgive others for things that they done. Even the Buddha did that. Buddha also said that if somebody is forgiving, asking forgiveness from you, if you are not the person who is not giving the forgiveness, you are creating akusala karmas. At the same time, if somebody done a bad thing, that person is not trying to forgive, asking apology from you, that person also creating akusalas, right? So akusalas happen from the both side, from the perpetrator side, from the person who is asked to forgive that person. But the problem here with the benefit of doubt, giving the benefit of the doubt, is that you are not equipping you are not making you as a person who is not giving benefit of the doubt to other person, if you are not forgiving other people. Because if you are not forgiving other people, you are carrying uh, you are carrying some unrealistic thoughts where you think that you are higher than the other people. So for those who did the bad thing in your way, you think that they are lower than you. So then you are having a very cynical, very skeptical view about who you are. That's why it's very important to forgive, because forgive means that you need to forgive completely. uh, do not have any half kind of forgiveness. You gotta forgive completely, because when you are forgiving other people, what you are doing is that you are very gentle in your ideas and thoughts. You are not keeping anything under you. Now, if you are not someone who is not forgiving, I think I have already given a talk about forgiveness sometimes back in our Sutta discussions. I already talked about that when you are not forgiving others, then you always carry that person in your mind negatively. You wake up by thinking that person, this person did harm to me, right? Or harmed me. And then you get to brush your teeth by thinking about that person harmed me. You get to eat by thinking that this person harmed me. You can't eat even without thinking about that person. And then you drive your vehicle also by thinking about that person. Okay, this person did harm me, and you are then working, and then you are coming back home, and you are even sleeping. Final thought that comes to your mind is that, okay, this person harmed me. Not even that. The most dangerous part of that thinking, where you are not forgiving other person, is that the moment you die, you never know when you're going to die, right? The moment where you're going to die by thinking that particular person is something that you already created. It means you think that this person harmed me, and then you die. You think that you would head out to a good place, better place. That's why sometimes you need to accept what happened, right? It is not a defeat. It is not a, I would say, bad thing to accept what happened and then to forgive and then continue your life in a better way. If you are not doing that, what you are doing in addition to that is you are not giving the benefit of the doubt to the other person, because you are not accepting other people's actions, accepting what may have happened out of their control, right? That's an interesting thing to think about, right? Are we accepting other people, especially when they did something out of their control? This is really connected to our topic today. Let's say somebody is supposed to come and see you, but on the way she was stuck in a traffic, and then later on he or she come to your place and then says to you that, I'm so sorry, I was stuck in the traffic, I never expected. I mean, are you going to accept that? Are you going to, we are supposed to, I mean, that's kind of a very little kind of a uh, very basic example, I would say. On the other hand, uh, you're gonna meet up with somebody, you're gonna expect something from somebody, but it doesn't happen as you plan. Would you be able to accept the sort of like justifications, or I would say the real thing that person's telling you, that I could not come because there was something that is not in my control, right? So this is what happened. Are you able to accept that? That is what we say by giving the benefit of the doubt, right? Sometimes you may know that there may be a lot of reasons to suspect, a lot of reasons to I would say find out, but you don't want to, because you know that I trust that person. I believe that person. I believe, I trust that person actions. So I don't want to. And you are giving the benefit of the doubt. So most of the problems in your life are actually solved, and they are not actually right hidden in a different insecurity level. Another very important aspect that you could do in addition to these three steps. Now, we talked about pay more attention to or look at the situations over the individual's character. When you hear the reasons that that person makes why, I would say, behind the failures. Second, we talked about perspective, because we need to develop our perspective. Otherwise, we never understand what other person is telling us for failure. I couldn't come. I couldn't text you back. I couldn't reply to you. I couldn't answer your calls. There may be some reasons. We don't accept them if we do not develop our mind a little bit higher. Third, we discuss about we need to forgive. If we not forgive, that means we are not accepting what they're gonna say. Now the problem is a lot of people might think there are bad guys, you have to be careful, you have to be cautious. Yeah, there are bad guys, but not the majority, not the majority. It's a minority. But they may be scattered through everywhere. So we have to believe that good people exist, and we should have a very comfortable, like I would say secure, at the same time comfortable, amicable, friendlier, kinder, more compassionate, uh, like uh, I would say kind of a round of people. Otherwise, we always get to be insecure because of these people, because of not understanding actually what's going to happen, what's going on. In addition to these three, I could add another very important thing to do, especially when it comes to uh, the practice of giving the benefit of the doubt to other people, is that we could have a very, I would say, open and direct communication. Now, this I sort of like hinted at the beginning, because we have to cultivate open and direct communication, particularly if you are somebody who has a kind of an ambiguous attributional style, like somebody who's always like suspecting your other half, your partners, your parents, your kids, so on and so forth. Now, the problem is you are the one who made most of your decisions in your life, especially when you are with other people, friends, and your uh, better half, other half. But the problem is, even you made a bad choice, bad decision when it comes to people. Have you ever thought that having a very honest and open conversation with the other person can solve many problems? So poor communication is a big problem. So you have to have an open communication. We have to be very open, because if you're not open to your, I would say, conversation, especially when you are in a relationship, when you are having kind of a other connection, partnership with anybody. But if you are a person who is always trying to evade the precious conversations, then you are not sharing, you are still carrying your insecurities with you. Then one day, at a certain point, those things will come up and then make a big mess on the board. That is why, if you are somebody who has an ambiguous attributional character, I would say somebody who is always up to suspect the other person in different ways, because your mind has not developed to an extent. And then the moment you suspect the other person, what you do oftentimes is that you want to I would say dominate, manipulate the other person. You can't do this and that. You had to be like this. You had to be like this, and then everything will be stuck, right? But if you are someone who really understands, who really has a good connection, good communication with the other person, you know that nothing is gonna happen, in a bad way. Everything is gonna happen in a good way, because you trust, you believe, right? So in order to bring yourself to that kind of a level, your mind has to be developed. Especially, you have to develop your mind. Now, a lot of people always think that developing the mind is to attain nibbana. Well, I mean, that's the highest. Don't we have to think that we should develop our mind on a daily basis, especially taking some time, perspective changing, at the same time, I would say, you know uh, giving more insights on different topics, letting other people talk about what I think, having an open communication, right? So these things also develop our mind. We don't need to you know touch that extreme, that highest goal, as the first thing, right? So having a developed mind, that means you are very open to talk about anything, be that your culture, be that your country, be that anything. You are very open, but you are not disrespecting anybody. Like when some people are open about some of the topics, they are going to disrespect, this is my topic. But you have to understand how to present what you think very kindly, without harming the other person. There should be a lot of ways to do that, right? Even when you want to talk about something that you see in your other half, you and you can always think about a better way, how to present this issue to my other person, how to bring this issue to my kids, right? You will always find how to talk to my mother, how to talk to my father without uh, you know uh, desensitizing, right, their thought, their emotions, right? There are plenty of ways to do that, but you always think, no, there are no ways, there's only one way. I gotta talk like this. I'm somebody who's gonna talk straight, right? And then you're gonna make a big mess. You can still be open. I want you to be open, but don't be open in a very uh, unwise way. Find a very nice way to be open, have the conversation going, but be cautious about how you're going to present yourself. So, the most important thing when it comes to, I would say, giving the benefit of the doubt is the, I would say, open communication. Because when you have an open communication, then only you can practice even the first three steps. You are not looking simply merely looking at the person's individuality, but you are looking at the sort of the situations, what made that person to be so, what brought him so, what brought her so. And second, we talked about the perspective change. We need to change our perspective, have a good attitude. Attitudes are really making us different, right? We have to have a very good, wholesome, holistic, skillful attitude so that we will understand a lot. Otherwise, you are sort of very, insecure beings in this planet, in this whole universe. Third, we discuss about forgiveness, because the connection between the forgiveness and the benefit of the doubt is that when you are not forgiving, what you are doing is that you are carrying a bunch of higher kind of like your egoistic higher thoughts, thinking to yourself that I am higher than the other people, which will be a loophole, which will be a very, I would say, a big mistake where you are not understanding what other people are going through in their life. Finally, in whole Buddhism, one of the concepts alerts me more than the others. That is compassion, because we always think that other people should behave the way that I want them to be. But actually, if we are very compassionate, we will try to empathize. We will try to put us in their shoes. That's very important. How would I react? How would I respond if I were in this situation? If you want to go further, how would other people react, respond, if they were in that person's shoes, right? Then we will see a lot of insights. We will minimize a lot of problems. So that's what we were discussing today. So we were talking about giving the benefit of the doubt. That means that even though there are many reasons for you to believe that something is going on, but you are trying to understand the trust of that person. You are trying to understand what really happened, the situations, environment, all those circumstances, right? So then you are creating a very happy, secure mind, because you should not bring your mind down, because it has to be strong, it has to be peaceful, it has to be very calm and quiet, serene. And we also talked about how we can develop our skills for us to be people who have this skill called giving the benefit of the doubt, especially when it comes to other people's actions, speeches, and thoughts. Any questions, Dhamma folks? We have a couple of minutes. You can uh, write your questions in the comments below. Here you can type, not write. Okay, somebody asked a question earlier, Lu Ming Ling. from Malaysia. How you react to situations, I guess, will trigger the result. Wise and unwise attention to actions. Okay, so what we've been discussing today, especially when it comes to the first step to practice giving the benefit of the doubt, it was that we always ignore the situations where we always pick on the other person's character. We always choose person's character over the situations which brought them to create that particular activity. So I was asking you to always look at their situations too, right? Now we can look at other examples. Let's say you actually wanted to dine in, and you get in a kind of restaurant, and then you see the I would say the person who is serving you is not probably in a happy face. Probably something might have happened to that person. Probably he may have an argument had with his girlfriend, her boyfriend. We never know. But we always think that he or she should do the job that I want, right? So that's why we have to always just uh, be concerned about other people's lives in a different ways, right? If we are not paying attention to how they are, acting, how they are performing, how they are actually presenting their lives, we might probably pick on their individuality over their circumstances, their situation. So I'm asking you to think about, uh, something going beyond your egoistic perspectives, saying that other people should be so and so forth, right? And then try to be more compassionate, empathetic towards the other people. So when you are empathetic, then can be more compassionate too, then you will understand more, right? You will know much better than how you were before. That is why I brought up uh, asking you to pay attention to situations. I mean, we should not neglect, ignore the person's individuality too, but we have to always look at situations too, right? Okay, I think there are no questions that I can see here. Um, can see that some folks have actually wished a new year. Rachel Wong, uh, thank you for your wishes, and we wish you a happy new year too. For good health, joy, happiness, peace. Uh, and all of you, Heng, Lou, Mary, everybody who's watching this and who's going to be watching this later, I wish you a happy new year. New year won't be happy just by aspiring. We have to create our blessings too. At the same time, we have two kinds of blessings: blessings that come from wishes, blessings that we create, like in the Mangala Sutta, 38 blessings. Right? We had to create those blessings. Right? But I wanted to thank you for 2021 for your participation, and then your, I would say your participation, at the same time your motivation, especially to learn Dhamma, especially from our discussions, interviews, so the discussions, different other series kind of stuff. And I wish everybody here good health, quality of your life, and all the prosperity. May the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha always be with you. Okay, so we will move on to our uh, regular, I would say, customary transference of merits. May all the good karmas that we've been collecting so far, especially in this year too, be transferred to all the departed people who passed away in the name of all of us. There may be a lot of people who passed away in the name of all of us, relatives, people who passed away in the name of us in our previous lives. May all these individuals receive all these good karmas. If they were reborn in a bad state of life for some akusalas, may they be able to transition into a better place. If they are reborn in a better place, May they be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's share the good karmas by reciting Idammi Nyati Nang Hotu Sukita Huntu Nyatayo Idammi Nyati Nang Hotu Sukita Huntu Nyatayo Idammi Nyati Nang Hotu Sukita Huntu Nyatayo. May all the good karmas be shared by all the devas, nagas. May nagas and devas protect everybody here who watch, who are watching all these talks, interviews, and everything. At the same time, everybody in this universe. May all you be protected, your families, your husband, your wife, your partners, your children, your parents, your grandparents, everybody be protected by the devas and nagas, this whole universe. May the devas and nagas also share all these good karmas and develop their dhamma knowledge, because we know that they are learning abhidhamma sometimes. May the devas and nagas also attain the supreme bliss of nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya aka sattha cha bhummatta devanaga mahindika Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhang tulukasasanang chirang rakkhang tudesanang chirang rakkhang tumang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating in all these ways by listening to a Dhamma talk, especially mental health awareness talk about how we can minimize our insecurities about other people, suspicions about other people, and become a person who is always understandable, insightful, and broad minded in our life. In today's talk, may all these good karmas help all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to bless you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadanasilisse nichang baddha pachayino chattaro dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti me vacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samicchato. By the power of the Buddha, by the power of the Dhamma, by the power of the Sangha, you be well, happy, and peaceful. May all your sufferings go away. May all your fears go away. May all your sicknesses go away. May you be always happy, healthy, peaceful. Now, folks, we have a different event coming up on Friday. It's going to be Friday morning to Ottawa, EST, 6 a.m. and going to be 7 p.m. in Malaysia. We're going to have a singer, a Buddhist singer from Malacca, Malaysia, Shutana, uh, with a special guest. She's a singer, Buddhist singer. She's gonna sing a couple songs in English and a couple of songs with the special guest in Mandarin in Chinese. I hope that you will tune in on Friday evening. Thank you. Have a good night and have a good day. Take care.